Hello there, YouTube viewers. This is Bible Believer 2009. Coming at you live with another blog. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And the title of this video is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Dream Hijacked. Dr. King's Dream Hijacked. So to start this video, I want to read a portion of a famous speech by Dr. Martin Luther King. It's called I Have a Dream. One of my favorite speeches. I remember reading this speech when I was a kid out of my history book in class, and just being amazed at the eloquence of Dr. King as a speaker. The words just kind of came to life off the page. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful speech. Let me read this. And it says, it was given by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on August 28, 1963 at the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. As I say to you today, my friends, so even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. Notice the theme of unity here. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. With this faith, we'll be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we'll be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go to jail together, to stand up for freedom together. Freedom. Knowing that we'll be free one day. And this will be the day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing. The land where my fathers died. The land of the pilgrim's pride. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from the Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and every molehill of Mississippi. From every mountainside, let freedom ring. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we'll be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men, white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. I love this part. Free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Well, those are the themes of this speech. Man, and I even watched, when I was a kid, I pulled up on the computer a video clip of Dr. Martin Luther King giving this speech. Man, is that exhilarating. Even watching that and seeing him give that speech, even though it was so long ago, you can just hear the power in his voice, you know. I like that speech he did, too. I think it was the last one he gave. He says, we're going to make it to the promised land. He says, I may not make it there with you. And you see the emotion in his eyes. You see the tears, and what an amazing human being that Dr. Martin Luther King was. What an amazing speech. And then you compare this with the drivel and the hate-filled rhetoric of Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, who have hijacked Dr. King's dream. What is his dream? What was he trying to accomplish? In this speech, we see what he was trying to accomplish. Because I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, by the content of their character. He believed that eventually we would look past color, and we would realize we're each fellow human beings, that we all bleed the same blood. And then to sit there and hate somebody because of the color of their skin, or because they look different, or whatever it was, it's stupid. It's ignorant. And so his idea was of unity, that we'd realize these fatal differences, that are keeping us apart, that we would look beyond those and work together for freedom. And he described it as brotherhood, a symphony of brotherhood. And he talked about transforming the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. He wanted to unite people. And What an amazing ideal. But then you compare that with Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, who seem like they are race baiters, and they want to promote racism. They want to promote divide. They want white men fighting black men and black men fighting white. And Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, they're kind of the small end of the problem, because they are bought and paid for by the global elite who own the media and everything like that. And they benefit from the fact that we're fighting each other, instead of realizing we each have a common foe, and that's the globalists. That's the offshore banks who are losing our freedoms to. And notice that Martin Luther King Jr., in his speech, he talks about freedom. Let freedom ring, he says in his speech. And when you realize where Dr. King was coming from in this, black people used to be treated very bad in the United States. There was slavery, which was horrible. I think we can all agree that one man thinking that he can own another man, that is just morally wrong. It's disgusting. He quotes from the Declaration of Independence: "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." And does not mean the government forcing everybody to be equal through a fraudulent kind of equality. In other words, we all have equality of opportunity, okay? But we all each have the same opportunity, but we have different talents and beliefs, different talents, different abilities, to where, hey, I may not achieve as much as somebody else will, but that's just because I'm an individual freedom, liberty. I think Dr. King understood that. And you notice he says, "Let freedom ring." Now, when black people were treated in the 60s before Martin Luther King, they could not drink from the same drinking fountain as white people. They could not go to the same schools. They were denied the right to vote. They couldn't sit on juries. By the way, and certainly, if there's any black people watching this video, do you realize that black people are part of that old Jim Crow law was that black people were not allowed to own guns? So you might want to think about that now, and think about it. When all them black people was disarmed like that, they couldn't defend themselves. Right when the Klan came, which we had a problem with the Klan, there was violence done against black people. Black people were lynched. Just horrifying, disgusting stuff. Think about it. They had those laws saying that black people could not own firearms, so the black people could not defend themselves. You see what I'm saying? Just let's think about that. So, you got Barack Obama and Joe Biden and the rest of the mainstream media and Piers Morgan, and all them trying to say you want to give, let's get rid of these guns. Makes you think, don't it? When you disarm people, they're easier to conquer, easier to abuse. But anyway, getting back to the point of this great speech. Martin Luther King, he was talking about freedom for everybody. I noticed that. Brotherhood, freedom. See, I think Martin Luther King realized that together, if we were unified, blacks and whites, Latinos, Hispanics, doesn't matter what religion you are, whatever, at least if we're united to defend the U.S. Constitution for everybody, to protect the individual freedoms of everybody, then we can make this country a better place. But you see, the system and the media, and especially the elite that control the political system, they want us fighting each other because we're too busy fighting each other. We're not going to be worried about them, and then we keep losing more and more of our individual freedoms and liberties. And that's the game that Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson are playing. And I believe they have that Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson have lied to, and they have deceived and defrauded the black community. They have misled the black community. And I was watching the news on that, and there's a gentleman in one of these little discussion panels on Fox saying that, okay, we the black community have chosen our leaders because somebody criticized Al Sharpton or something like that. And I understand that, but I really wish that the black community could wake up to realize you're being misled, okay? People like Joe Biden and Obama and the system, they want you to see yourself as a victim. They want you to see white people as the bad guy. See, they're playing us off against each other. You got to realize that. And they have to see, and basically, there's really not, in my opinion, that I've seen, there's not really a problem with racism anymore, except for a few isolated individuals I mean, my goodness, we have a first in American history here. We have had our first African American president, black president, Barack Obama. That's busting some serious barriers, man. And I'm just really, it really irritates me, these race baiters like Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, and you got people on MSNBC, CNN, and I mean, they like, if you disagree with Obama and his policies, you must be a racist. If you believe in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and the government should be smaller, you must be a racist. If you don't support gun control, you must be a racist. If you don't support Obamacare, you must be a racist. If you use the term Obamacare, by the way, even though Obama himself used to love to call it that when it, before it started becoming a mess, you must be a racist. I mean, isn't that ridiculous? They just have to make up phantoms of racism in order to sell a political agenda. That's all they're doing. These elite, they have hijacked Martin Luther King Jr.'s real dream and have used that to sell their political agenda of more police state and outright communism. And Obama, they're using him. Okay, he's a puppet. Okay, of these same people. And it's just disgusting. And then I was watching on the news, and they had these celebrations for Martin Luther King, and then you see Mark Pryor sitting up there, here in Arkansas. Mark Pryor don't care about black people. These political people, they're just following an agenda, dude. They're using the civil rights movement to sell their socialism, their communism, man. That's all they're doing. And basically, what the system is offering you, black people. I'm going to address this to my my African American brothers and sisters out there. The system is trying to sell you. See, what they're doing is they're giving you the victim mentality, and the more and more that they get you to rely on them and their handouts and everything like that, the borrower is servant to the lender. Okay. Basically, they're getting you reliant on them. And the more and more you rely on them, and the less you're able to stand on your own 2 feet and to be free and independent, you're selling yourself back into slavery. It is a form of slavery, bondage. Because eventually, you get to where you can't support yourself. And you have to rely on government. I think it was George Washington that said a government big enough to give you everything you wanted is big enough to take everything you got. And it's more and more dependence on government, the less you can stand on your own. You see what I'm saying? And Obama, he has enough nerve to say and a lot of people, man, they work hard to build their businesses. Yeah, you do have a little help along the way. But the way he means it, he says, well, if you built that, you didn't really build it on your own. He's promoting collectivism. And that's what communism, if you look at communism, that's what they do. Like Stalin and Lenin and Soviet Russia, they collectivized the farms and stuff like that. No property rights. Everybody own. Oh my gosh, and it's sickening because that's what they're promoting. And they've totally perverted and just twisted and just hijacked the dream of this amazing man, Dr. Martin Luther King, in order to sell their twisted and satanic and just downright evil agenda, okay? Because it's about taking our freedom and instituting a communist-style takeover of America, and that's exactly what's going on, as I see it, as I've been observing things. And that's sad. A man who believed in freedom and brotherhood. Freedom and brotherhood is what he was talking about. And I don't think Dr. Martin Luther King would support the stuff, Obamacare and all the stuff that Obama is doing. And I definitely don't think that he would support it. And by the way, there's something else too that bothers me about this too. The homosexual groups, the political lobbyists have used the civil rights movement to try to sell their agenda. And I'm sorry, there's no comparison. Okay, you can't change. In fact, this is scientifically proven. You cannot change the race that you were born as. You don't have a choice in that. Okay, and we know this. You can't decide. Okay, well, when I'm born, I want to be this skin color. I want to be this and that. Okay, and so that would be a civil rights issue. Okay, homosexuals are not born that way. There's no scientific evidence to support that. Okay, and to try to compare gay rights with the civil rights movement for African Americans in the '60s is apples and oranges. And there's a lot of black people who are really outraged at that too, and I give them credit for that because their movement is being used to promote homosexuality and gay marriage and all that. Okay, and there's a huge difference between what Martin Luther King Jr. did and what this gay agenda is doing, and I can highlight that. Like the fact that homosexuals are now they're supporting lowering the age of consent laws in different states to where these homosexual adults can have sex with kids. I don't think Martin Luther King would be for that. I don't think he'd be for gay marriage because remember he was a Christian pastor. And I just think it just really makes me sick how they try to use the civil rights movement and try to use that to sell the gay agenda. And I just don't think it's the same thing. Who you take into your bedroom, that's a choice. And I just don't think you should get special protections for who you decide to take into the bedroom. You know what I'm saying? And it's just really makes me mad too. And a lot of people have bought into this deception that it's just like the gays are just like the black people. No, it's totally different. Totally different. And we've always in this country, one of the founding fathers, we had laws on the books on certain things like this because community standards. You got to have some kind of standard in order to, you just can't have chaos and anarchy. So and that's what's going on in this country today because we're just basically throwing off the moral restraints and doing legalizing whatever we want. A society cannot work in chaos like that. Just so everybody knows. But again, Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream has been hijacked by the global elite to sell many different agendas, as we've already talked about. There's Obama's socialist agenda, the socialist communist agenda they're trying to push on America. They're using it to sell the homosexual agenda, which is, in order to try to get everybody to support gross immorality and unnatural and just evil behavior. They're using that now to basically the system is basically, and the politicians are making it look like, okay, if you don't stand with us and what we're doing, the socialist communist agenda, then you're against Martin Luther King, you're against the civil rights and all that, and that they're inverting it, they're twisting it, and they just and Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, these guys are. I think Martin Luther King would be ashamed of them. Because they are race baiters. They sold out the system. They were bought off a long time ago. They sold their souls to the devil. And now you get Al Sharpton on NBC spewing racist. He's a racist, and so is that Jesse Jackson. And look at the Trayvon Martin thing. You had Al Sharpton going down to Florida, marching with these people, saying no justice, no peace. I mean, he was stirring these people up and encouraging them to violence. But did he take responsibility when violence happened? No, he did not. And there was violence that happened. There was a young man, I think he was a white guy. He was jogging, minding his own business, and in a car full of younger black men jumped out the car and actually beat him up. Why? Because he happened to be a white guy, and they said they wanted to do it to avenge Trayvon, And it was not even a racial case. They had to invent or make up some kind of racial overtone to this. Okay, NBC got caught altering the 911 tapes of George Zimmerman when he called 911 to report, that he's seen a suspicious person down there, and they made it sound like he automatically off the bat goes, "Oh yeah, this black guy here, ooh, he looks scary." No, the operator asked him, "Okay, sir, what does he look like?" And he was answering questions of the 911 operator, so he made a response. Yeah, I think he's black, as a response to a question of the operator. But NBC, they doctored the tapes to make it sound racist in order to inflame people. So the media is in on this as well. And it really is disgusting. They're playing divide and conquer with us, folks. They're dividing us, keeping us divided, fighting each other so they can come in and conquer. It's a battle strategy. And so that's why I'm doing this video, to expose that and to wake up your minds as my viewers, to wake people up, to get them to not fall for this phony paradigm phony left-right paradigm, to fall for this propaganda and and this indoctrination process that's going on through the media, okay, and just we got to, you know what? I think blacks, whites, Hispanic, all of it. We need to stand up for individual freedom, and the real enemy here is the government. Our government's been hijacked by these global elite, who basically have hijacked the system now, and they're taking our freedoms. That's what we need to be focused on: preserving our constitutional rights, individual freedom for everybody. That should be the goal. So I too have a dream. So hopefully one day people will wake up to this, what's going on here, that they're being scammed by the media and these politicians. And we will get back to the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in this country and get back to God and the Bible. And truly then, especially when we learn about what Jesus taught about loving your neighbor, do good to them that despitefully use you. Where Jesus taught unconditional love through parables such as the Good Samaritan. Where a Samaritan man, in fact, back in ancient Israel, Jewish people regarded the Samaritans as just scumbags. They didn't want anything to do with them. They were like unclean. But you read this story, this Jewish man. Actually, I think it is a Jewish man. He gets robbed, gets beat up. Okay, gets thrown in the street, and Hebrew priest comes by. Does nothing for him. Another a Jewish leader comes by, does nothing for him. But then a Samaritan man comes through, picks the man up, puts him on his donkey, takes him to the motel, bandages his wounds, pays for this man to be able to stay in this motel until he gets better. This man was a Samaritan. To this Jewish man who had been beaten up, this Samaritan was the enemy. But you see, the Samaritan man, he saw past all that. And to the Samaritan man, this Jewish person was the enemy. But look at the love the Samaritan man showed the Jewish man in taking care of him and helping him when he had been robbed and beaten and laying on the street. Is that not what Martin Luther King was getting at? Let's say he's looking at these little petty differences. Anyway. I just want to give you my thoughts on this since it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And again, and I really believe this, Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream has been hijacked by the system, by the criminal elite, known as the New World Order, and they're using it to divide and conquer. Anyway, thank you and God bless you.